Viewers, brace yourselves, because the streets of hip-hop just turned into a crime scene. Imagine logging into your feed, expecting some Dipset nostalgia, and instead you're hit with this headline: Jim Jones hospitalized after Chrissy's new husband's brutal attack. Yes, you heard me right, hospitalized. How do we even get here? Wasn't Chrissy supposed to be Jim's ride or die? Wasn't Dipset supposed to be family? Or are we finally witnessing the ugliest betrayal New York rap has ever seen? But wait, it doesn't stop there. A secret tape has allegedly leaked, and insiders claim it shows more than fists flying. Anonymous sources whisper that the fight wasn't random. It was calculated, brutal, and fueled by years of buried tension. Some fans are calling this the ultimate Dipset downfall. Others say Chrissy's new husband just did what everyone else was too scared to do. So the question is, was Jim Jones really the victim? Or is this karma knocking at his door? And most importantly, what's on that leaked tape that's got the entire industry trembling? Stick around, because we're about to unravel the chaos, expose the whispers, and ask the questions no one else dares to. When the news first broke that Jim Jones had been hospitalized, fans were left gasping like they'd just been hit with a Dipset mixtape that nobody asked for. People couldn't believe it. Jim, the so-called capo, the man who strutted around Harlem with that larger-than-life bravado, suddenly flat on his back in a hospital bed because of Chrissy's new husband? You couldn't script it better if you tried, but here we are. And believe me, the whispers around this mess are louder than a DJ set in a packed club. Let's rewind for a second, because this story didn't just pop out of thin air. Jim Jones and Chrissy have been the hip-hop soap opera that refuses to end. Years of will they, won't they, messy fights splattered across reality TV, and constant speculation about who really controls the power dynamic in that relationship. Everyone remembers the endless back and forths on love and hip-hop. Chrissy storming out, Jim trying to play peacemaker, and fans calling their relationship both toxic and iconic in the same breath. It was like watching a car crash. You didn't want to look, but you couldn't look away either. And then out of nowhere, Chrissy upgrades her life like she just hit refresh on her entire existence. Suddenly, there's a new husband in the mix. No warning, no slow transition, just boom. Chrissy with a man who looks ready to rewrite the Dipset legacy with his fists. Fans immediately started connecting dots. Was she secretly planning this? Did Jim know all along and just play dumb? Or was he blindsided the same way we were when those first grainy paparazzi photos leaked? The drama hit a boiling point when rumors of a secret tape began circulating. Anonymous insiders claimed there was footage of heated arguments, shady meetings, and yes, violence. Some say the tape shows Chrissy's husband confronting Jim in what was supposed to be a private moment. Others swear it's a setup, a carefully staged humiliation designed to strip Jim of every ounce of respect he's clung to in the streets. And let's be real, when words like secret tape get tossed around, you already know the internet is going to combust. People were practically begging for the footage to drop, hashtags exploding faster than Jim could spit a bar. Now here's where it gets murky. Reports suggest that the confrontation didn't happen by chance. According to one so-called anonymous source who claims to be close to the family, Chrissy's new husband had been itching for this showdown. It was personal, the source insists. He wanted to send a message. Jim was never going to walk away untouched. Harsh words, but when you've got the kind of street rep Jim Jones built his entire brand on, humiliation cuts deeper than fists. Fans online started pulling receipts, digging up old interviews where Jim looked tired, stressed, and barely holding it together. In one throwback clip, he even admitted that fame brought him more enemies than friends. Nobody thought those enemies would eventually be living under the same roof as his ex. But here we are, watching the dominoes fall. And let's not ignore the Dipset connection. This isn't just a personal drama, it's a ripple effect that threatens the entire legacy of a group that once defined an era. Dipset was all about loyalty, strength, and Harlem pride. Now their capo is lying in a hospital bed because of a domestic war gone public. Some fans are calling it the final nail in the coffin for Dipset's already fractured reputation. Others argue Jim had it coming, that years of arrogance finally caught up to him. Twitter, of course, went nuclear. One fan wrote, "Imagine building your whole career on being tough just to get laid out by Chrissy's man." Another chimed in, "Dipset can't survive this kind of PR nightmare." They're officially finished. Memes flooded in, with photoshopped images of Jim in a hospital gown for drip attached, still trying to throw up the Dipset hand sign. Cruel? Absolutely. But the internet doesn't do sympathy. It does clout, and this scandal was free content for everyone. Behind the sarcasm and online jokes, though, lies a darker question. What's really on that leaked tape? Some insiders whisper it's not just an attack, but a humiliation ritual caught on camera. That Jim was cornered, ambushed, and recorded to ensure his downfall was permanent. Others say it's nothing more than a messy brawl blown out of proportion. But the fact that nobody knows for sure only adds gasoline to the fire. The uncertainty is what keeps fans glued, waiting, desperate for the next breadcrumb of drama. And let's not forget Chrissy herself. Where does she stand in all of this? Publicly, she's been silent, but that silence screams louder than words. Some fans speculate she orchestrated the entire thing, that the new husband is her weapon of revenge after years of on-again, off-again heartbreak with Jim. Others think she's stuck in a nightmare, watching as the two men in her life destroy each other while her reputation dangles by a thread. Either way, the narrative is messy, and that's exactly why it's captivating. Jim Jones has always painted himself as untouchable, a man who thrives in chaos. But lying in a hospital bed strips away all that bravado. For the first time, fans are seeing him not as the capo, not as the Dipset legend, but as a man who just got beaten down in the ugliest way possible. And it's hard not to wonder, if Jim Jones can fall this hard, who in hip-hop is truly safe from scandal? As the dust from the initial attack begins to settle, one thing is clear. This isn't over. The hospital stay is just chapter 1. The leaked tape, the public backlash, the Dipset legacy hanging by a thread. Everything is pointing toward a storm even bigger than the one that landed Jim in the ER. Because if the rumors are true, and that tape really does contain the brutal showdown everyone's whispering about, then the chaos we've seen so far is nothing compared to what's coming next. And that's where we leave off for now. Jim may be fighting for respect in the hospital, but the real battle is just beginning. The tape hasn't even fully surfaced yet, and already the internet is losing its mind. Imagine what happens when the footage actually drops. Will Jim's career survive? Will Dipset finally collapse under the weight of betrayal? Or will Chrissy's new husband cement his place as the man who took down a Harlem giant? One thing's for sure, this story isn't slowing down. It's about to get uglier, messier, and far more explosive than anyone could have predicted. So here we are, Jim Jones lying in a hospital bed, his phone blowing up with more notifications than a rapper dropping a surprise mixtape. The world knows he's been attacked. The whispers about the secret tape are louder than ever, and Dipset fans are crying in their Timbs. But this is just the surface. Behind closed doors, the story gets nastier, pettier, and downright unbelievable. According to one so-called leaked report, the altercation wasn't some random street scuffle. Nope. It was a meticulously planned ambush, orchestrated with all the finesse of a reality TV storyline. Sources claim Chrissy's new husband cornered Jim at a private gathering, supposedly meant to clear the air. But let's be honest, when has clear the air ever meant anything other than time to throw hands? And throw hands he did. Witnesses described the attack as savage, with one anonymous guest swearing, "I ain't never seen Jim look so helpless." He wasn't the capo that night, he was just another man getting wrecked. The words sting, don't they? Jim, the guy who built his persona on toughness, loyalty, and Harlem grit, reduced to a headline about being hospitalized. But here's where it really spirals out of control. The leaked tape. Oh yes, that curse footage. Apparently, it doesn't just show fists flying. Reports suggest it captures the lead-up, the heated argument, Chrissy caught in the middle, and Jim's pride crumbling faster than Dipset's 2005 unity. Anonymous insiders insist the tape shows Jim begging for things to calm down, only to be blindsided by a punch so hard it sent shockwaves through the entire room. And if that's true, the humiliation is even worse than the hospital stay. Because nothing says career over like footage of you pleading and then getting knocked into next week. The internet, of course, took this storyline and ran with it. Memes of Jim photoshopped into hospital dramas started trending. One viral post joked, "Grey's Anatomy new season featuring Jim Jones. When the capo meets the ER." Cool? Absolutely. Funny? Unfortunately, yes. That's the internet for you. One man's downfall is another man's trending hashtag. Meanwhile, Dipset loyalists tried to defend their capo. "This is a setup," one fan wrote. "Jim was ambushed, it ain't fair. Real men don't fight dirty." But even those voices drowned under the avalanche of ridicule. Because in the cutthroat world of hip-hop gossip, perception is reality. And right now, reality paints Jim as weak, broken, and left behind. And let's talk about Chrissy. Her silence is deafening. While fans are dissecting every frame of the alleged footage, she hasn't said a word. No Instagram live rant, no emotional statement, not even a shady repost. Just silence, which in this industry is louder than any confession. People are already speculating she's standing by her new husband, choosing sides in the ugliest way possible. Some even believe she leaked the tape herself, a final revenge move after years of Jim dodging real commitment. If true, that's not just betrayal, it's cinematic treachery. The fallout is already reaching places Jim probably never expected. Promoters are whispering about pulling him from upcoming shows, worried the scandal will overshadow the music. Brand deals? Forget it. Nobody wants the face of their campaign to be a man trending under, hospitalized after getting hooped by Chrissy's man. Even his Dipset brothers are reportedly distancing themselves. One insider claimed Cameron hasn't returned Jim's calls since the attack, worried the chaos will drag his own name through the mud. If Dipset was fractured before, now it's officially in shambles. And then comes the question nobody wants to ask. Is Jim Jones done? In an industry that thrives on image, where being untouchable is the currency, can he bounce back from this kind of public humiliation? Some fans think he'll spin it, turn victimhood into a redemption arc. But others believe this is the endgame. "He ain't coming back from this," one online commenter wrote. "Once you're seen as weak, you're finished. Period." But let's not act like this is just about fists and hospital beds. The whispers about financial drama are surfacing too. Rumors are swirling that Chrissy's new husband is sitting on serious money, connections that dwarf Jim's current standing. Allegedly, the fight wasn't just about pride, but about power. Who really runs Harlem now? Anonymous sources claim backroom deals are shifting, loyalties flipping, and Jim's throne is crumbling under him. And if you think that's dramatic, wait until you hear this. One insider insists that the fight was staged specifically to humiliate Jim, to create viral footage that would permanently stain his reputation. Think about it. Why else would a secret tape magically exist of such a private altercation? Who benefits from that? Not Jim. The only winners here are Chrissy's new husband and the gossip blogs feeding on the chaos. Fans are already predicting lawsuits, criminal charges, even restraining orders. Some say Jim's team is pushing for legal action, demanding the tape be pulled before it hits the public. But in the age of leaks, nothing stays buried. Once a video exists, it's only a matter of time before it hits the internet, spreads like wildfire, and becomes a permanent part of pop culture history. And when that happens, Jim's downfall will be immortalized forever. The streets are buzzing with questions. Was this all revenge from Chrissy, finally fed up with years of Jim's antics? Or was this her new husband trying to make a name for himself, stamping his dominance on the Harlem scene by taking down a legend? Either way, the outcome is the same. Jim Jones, hospitalized, reputation shattered, Dipset legacy in tatters. And yet, for all the chaos, fans can't look away. Because deep down, this is what they live for. The scandals, the betrayals, the drama so messy, it feels scripted. Jim Jones built his career on being larger than life. But now, his downfall is even larger, and everyone wants a front row seat. The scary part? This isn't even the peak yet. The tape still hasn't fully dropped. Only whispers, snippets, and shaky descriptions exist. Imagine the explosion when the full footage goes live. Imagine the hashtags, the commentary, the memes, the chaos. If Jim's hospitalization broke the internet, the tape will bury it 6 feet under. And that's exactly where this story leaves us now, teetering on the edge of a scandal about to detonate. Jim Jones may be lying in a hospital bed, but the damage to his image is only just beginning. Because once that tape surfaces, once the world sees exactly what went down, there's no coming back. Not for Jim, not for Dipset, not for anyone tied to this mess. By now, Jim Jones's hospitalization isn't just news, it's a circus. The kind of scandal that starts in Harlem but echoes across every corner of the internet. Rap blogs, gossip pages, even mainstream outlets are circling like vultures, all asking the same question: what happens next? Because let's be real, if the attack and hospitalization were the earthquake, then the leaked tape is the aftershock that threatens to level the entire landscape. Behind the hospital curtains, Jim is said to be fuming. According to one so-called anonymous nurse, he's less worried about his injuries and more obsessed with how the public is perceiving him. He kept saying, "Don't let them see me weak," the nurse allegedly whispered. Imagine that, flat on a hospital bed, bruised, battered, hooked up to machines, and still worried about being memed into oblivion. But in Jim's world, perception has always been reality, and now that reality is slipping through his fingers faster than Dipset's unity. Meanwhile, Chrissy's new husband is basking in the spotlight, intentionally or not. Suddenly, he's the man of the hour, whispered about in barbershops, dissected on podcasts, and feared in the same streets where Jim once reigned supreme. Some say he's become a folk hero, the guy who dared to do what no rival rapper, no industry hater ever managed: put Jim Jones in a hospital bed. Others see him as nothing more than a clout chaser, hungry for headlines, willing to spill blood for a moment in the viral sun. Either way, his name is in everyone's mouth, and that's a currency Jim can't afford to lose. And then there's Chrissy. Still silent. Still untouchable. The woman who once fought tooth and nail to secure her place in Jim's life is now the eye of the storm, calm, unbothered, letting the men destroy each other while her silence becomes its own kind of weapon. Fans are split. Some call her a mastermind, others say she's trapped. But the truth is, nobody knows where her loyalty lies. And maybe that's the cruelest twist of all. The industry fallout is brutal. Promoters quietly canceling shows, sponsors backing out, radio hosts making sly jokes about capos who can't defend themselves. It's death by 1,000 cuts, every headline chipping away at the reputation Jim spent decades building. And the whispers about Dipset? They're not whispers anymore. They're shouts. Cameron, Jewels, Freaky, none of them want to drown in this storm. Rumors suggest they're distancing themselves, even plotting to formally disband the group once and for all. If Dipset wasn't already dead, this scandal is the funeral. But here's the kicker. The leaked tape is still hanging over everything like a guillotine. Tiny snippets, grainy screenshots, half-second clips have allegedly surfaced on shady forums. Enough to set the internet ablaze, but not enough to tell the full story. One frame supposedly shows Jim on the ground, another shows Chrissy screaming, and another shows her new husband standing tall, fists clenched, like he just conquered Harlem. If the full tape drops, and let's be honest, it will, there's no undoing the damage. And what about the law? Whispers of investigations are spreading. Some say police are quietly probing the incident. Others claim it's being kept under wraps to avoid a media circus. But let's not kid ourselves. When a celebrity gets hospitalized after a violent attack, the cops don't just sit back and sip coffee. Legal consequences are looming, whether anyone admits it or not. The question is, who's going to take the fall? Jim, for provoking? Chrissy's husband, for swinging? Or Chrissy herself, for allegedly orchestrating the whole fiasco? Public reaction is shifting too. At first, it was all jokes and memes. But now, fans are debating the bigger picture. Some argue this is the ultimate betrayal story, a Shakespearean tragedy set in Harlem. Others see it as the inevitable collapse of an ego too big to sustain. And some, the conspiracy lovers, insist the whole thing is staged, a publicity stunt designed to reignite Jim's career through sympathy and controversy. After all, in the age of clicks, even bad press is currency, right? But would Jim really put his health and pride on the line for clout? Or is that just another desperate theory fans are clinging to? One thing's for sure, the chaos has only fueled Jim's haters. Old rivals are crawling out of the woodwork, taking victory laps on social media, posting cryptic emojis, laughing at his downfall. Even irrelevant rappers are getting a taste of the spotlight by clowning him. It's open season and Jim is the prey. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. According to one very dramatic anonymous insider, the hospital stay has forced Jim into plotting his revenge. They claim he's been making calls from his hospital bed, rallying allies, and planning a counterattack. Not necessarily with fists, but with the kind of dirt that could flip the script entirely. He's got receipts, the insider swears. If that tape drops, Jim's dropping something bigger. Could it be financial scandals? Hidden affairs? Secret deals that would turn Chrissy's new husband into the villain overnight? Nobody knows, but the mere idea of Jim striking back has fans foaming at the mouth. And that's where we stand, a hospitalized legend, a new rival basking in the spotlight, Chrissy's silence fueling endless speculation, Dipset's legacy on life support, and a tape that could destroy everything once it surfaces. It's the kind of drama that feels less like real life and more like a Netflix series you can't stop binging. But here's the ultimate cliffhanger. If Jim Jones really does have dirt, if he really is plotting his revenge from a hospital bed, then this story is far from over. In fact, it might just be beginning. Because the only thing more shocking than watching a capo fall is watching him rise back up with a vengeance. And when that happens, when the tape drops, when the counterattacks begin, the question won't just be, what happened to Jim Jones? The question will be, who survives the chaos and who gets buried by it? And there you have it, viewers. The story's so messy, so explosive, even Hollywood wouldn't dare to write it. Jim Jones hospitalized. Chrissy's new husband, crowned as the man who brought Harlem's capo down. A secret tape lurking in the shadows, ready to set the internet on fire the second it drops. And a Dipset legacy, once untouchable, now dangling by the thinnest thread. But here's the thing, this isn't just about Jim Jones. This is about betrayal, pride, and the ugly reality of what happens when personal drama collides with public image. So I'll ask you this. Was Jim Jones the victim of a brutal ambush, or was this karma cashing a check he's been writing for years? Is Chrissy a mastermind pulling the strings, or is she just another pawn in a game bigger than any of us imagined? And what about her new husband? Did he expose the truth, or just chase clout off a Harlem legend's downfall? I want to hear from you, right here, right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who's the villain? Who's the victim? And when that secret tape finally leaks, whose career do you think will end first? Don't just watch the chaos, be part of it. Smash that like button, subscribe and turn on those notifications because this is only the beginning. The scandals are getting darker, the betrayal sharper, and trust me, you won't want to miss the next bombshell we uncover.